The story unfolds with the first princess of the Tearmoon Empire, Mia Luna Tearmoon, being roughly dragged into the dirty cell. 3 years since the princess's confinement, the day has arrived when Mia is to be met with the guillotine. As she's walking towards the executioner, she wonders what could have possibly gone wrong in her life. Amidst the cheering crowd, Mia meets with her apparent end, only to awaken on a luxurious bed with her head intact, albeit in a smaller body. Perplexed, she discovers her age has reversed to 12 and dismisses it as a bad dream, letting out a relieved chuckle. However, her relief is short-lived as she notices a blood-stained diary beside her, chronicling her ordeal in a confinement cell. Disturbed by the writings, Mia seeks solace in food, reflecting on her past behavior. She recalls firing the head cook for serving vegetables. As a nervous cook presents a dish, Mia, recalling her prison experience, expresses delight at receiving an edible meal, which surprises the cook. Later, Mia waits for her cake to be delivered, but the maid bringing it ends up tripping and falling on her dessert. At first, Mia finds her blood boiling, but upon seeing the maid's crying face, she realizes that in her past life, this maid visited and treated her kindly up until the very end. She tells Anne that this time, she'll reward her for her devotion and promote her from a maid to her personal handmaid. Knowing that she'll be headless in a few years if she doesn't act quick, Mia decides to turn to the one person she disliked the most, as Hewitt Ludwig is about to be dispatched to the province. Mia decides to save the boy from being transferred in hopes of attaining economical knowledge from him. After asking Ludwig to accompany her, Mia asks the Four Eyes how they can save the Empire from financial crisis. Like everyone, Ludwig thinks of Mia as a stupid and careless girl, and decides to lecture her on the extraneous amounts of money spent on royal food. But Mia, having heard this lecture before, outsmarts Ludwig and confidently showcases her understanding of the issue. Impressed by Mia's big brain, Ludwig pledges his loyalty to her. Mia, pleased with herself, returns to her chambers and learns that the content of her diary has changed, but yet her end remains the same. In order to save her head, Mia takes Ludwig and Anne to the New Moon district, where the civilians are dying from a disease outbreak. Ludwig advises Mia to turn back, noting the foul stench oozing out of the place. Once again, remembering her time in prison, Mia tells her allies that they should not let such trifling matters bother them. After consulting with Ludwig on preventing the disease's spread, Mia decides to sacrifice her cherished hairpin for a substantial donation. This contribution allows the construction of a hospital in the district, earning Mia the admiration of the people as a goddess. The following day, accompanying Anne to visit her frail sister Elise, Mia learns of Elise's passion for writing. Remembering Anne reading her stories in prison, Mia decides to hire Elise as her personal author, a gesture aimed at repaying the kindness she once missed out on when Elise passed away. The next day, Mia and Anne take a trip to the shops located next to her school. During their shopping trip, the girls witness a group of young nobles bullying Tiana Rodolphin, a girl born to a low-ranking noble, and her maid, Leora. Observing the unfolding scene, Mia ponders the wisdom of avoiding two significant individuals: Shion Sol Sunklin, the kingdom's principled first prince, and Tiana, whom targeted Mia in her previous life due to her friendship with Shion. This history led to Mia's execution by guillotine, but her plans to ignore Tiana change when Anne eagerly prompts her to intervene against bullies. Wanting to maintain Anne's favor, Mia rescues Tiana, earning her gratitude. Unbeknownst to them, Prince Shion witnesses this act and forms a favorable opinion of Mia. Returning home, Mia is greeted by Rafina, the eldest daughter of the ruler of the Holy Principality of Beluga. In her former life, Mia worked hard to gain Rafina's affection, but her efforts were all in vain. However, this time, Rafina personally invites Mia to the Academy's welcome ball. Mia cringes at the memory of how in the past, she was rejected in real life by Prince Shion, who picked Tiona for the ball instead of her. Determined to do things differently, Mia gets Anne to collect information on eligible bachelors in her academy so she can build meaningful relationships. The next day, as Mia finds the second prince, Abel, from the kingdom of Remno approaching, she decides to use the handkerchief trick to get his attention. However, instead of returning the handkerchief to the princess, Abel finds another girl to flirt with. In the meantime, Shion picks up Mia's handkerchief and decides to ask Mia out. Determined to avoid the prince, Mia sees Abel being dragged away by his older brother, Gain, and uses his opportunity to escape Shion. However, as Mia witnesses Abel being assaulted by Gain, she intervenes and tells Gain that she happens to be Abel's partner. Once Shion finds her, Mia publicly rejects him, declaring Abel as her partner. Happy to have turned down Shion, Mia breezes through the halls when Abel approaches her and tells her how he's unfit to be her partner. In hopes of gaining favor from Abel later, Mia gives him a pep talk which fills the prince with confidence. On the day of the ball, tragedy befalls Mia as she finds herself drenched in horse snot. Just when she was all dolled up, in order to save her lady's honor, Anne takes it upon herself to make Mia the most beautiful girl in the ball, and to her credit, Anne does a splendid job as Mia becomes the talk of the ball with her beauty. As Abel takes Mia to the dance, he quickly realizes that he has subpar dancing skills and asks Shion to dance with Mia instead. In the meantime, Anne runs into Leora, who informs her of Tiona's kidnapping. Noticing the commotion, Keithwood, Shion's attendant, aids the girls in rescuing Tiona. He reveals that he found a handkerchief with a Tearmoon crescent embellished on it. As Keithwood informs Shion of Mia's involvement in the kidnapping through Tiona, Shion quickly dismisses the idea. Later, as Mia learns from Anne about Tiona's kidnapping, she decides to take the matter in her own hands in hopes of avoiding everyone's wrath. She gathers the nobles and tells them that if Rafina was to find out they put a student of her academy in harm's way, they'll instantly be dismissed. But since she's feeling merciful, she'll talk to Rafina on everyone's behalf. In a private audience with Rafina, Mia tries to persuade her not to dismiss the students. Rafina, interpreting Mia's plea as a desire to give the nobles a second chance at self-improvement, is pleased by the suggestion and extends an invitation for friendship. As Chloe Forkroad finishes her book, she tries to make an attempt to befriend her classmates, but ends up chickening out due to her social anxiety. Mia, recognizing her as a bookworm, approaches her and asks to become friends with Chloe. Surprised by the extrovert's approach, Chloe asks Mia why she wants to become friends with someone like her. Mia then unveils her desire for a reading companion, thinking it would be a shame for Elise's books to be confined to only her and Anne. Later, Mia enters the stables in hopes of joining the equestrian club. Her sole purpose of learning to ride horses is to run as far away from the guillotine that'll chop her head off. Mei Long Lin, the president of the club, welcomes Mia when all of a sudden, Abel enters the stables too. Since the two share a close friendship, Mei Long decides to help his buddy by asking him to teach Mia how to ride horses. During their training, Mia accidentally ends up falling on top of Abel. For the first time ever, Mia finds her heart racing for a boy. However, unable to comprehend these feelings, Mia labels her quickened heartbeat for being too sensitive. With the sword fighting tournament drawing closer, Anne asks Mia who she'll be preparing a lunch for, as according to the customs, the winner receives a lunch from the girls. In her previous life, she ended up eating alone once Shion turned her lunch down, but this time, Mia decides to prepare a lunch for Abel. However, upon learning that the pre-made lunch shop cannot take orders, Mia decides to gather help from Chloe and Tiona to make lunches for both Shion and Abel. As she informs the news to Abel, he tells Mia he's going to practice hard so he can eat her meal. This of course makes Mia's heart beat. Feeling that his master is in danger, Keithwood tries to check up on the ladies who are responsible for making lunches for Shion. Turns out Keithwood's sixth sense was right after all, as he finds out the girls cooking up atrocities. Determined to help them out, Keithwood takes on the role of a teacher and guides the girls thoroughly in their cooking endeavors. Mia, delighted by the outcome, bows to Keithwood in gratitude, while this act of appreciation touches Keithwood greatly. On the day of the tournament, Abel is confronted by his wicked older brother Gain, who tells Mia that she is dumb for liking his younger brother. At first, Mia decides to make a political stand, curbing tension between her and the first prince of the Remno Empire. But then, she proudly tells Abel to win against his brother. With Mia's support backing him, Abel defeats Gain and receives a horse-shaped sandwich from Mia. During their lunch break, Abel is greeted by Shion, who reveals to him honestly that he believes he would lose the game. He then tells Abel that he's excited for the match and takes his leave. During the match, Shion notes that it is Mia who made Abel strong. Abel, agreeing with Shion, tells him that for Mia's sake, he can't lose. As both parties flaunt their exceptional swordsmanship, Mia cheers on for Abel and prays for his victory, since she has it out for Shion. But all of a sudden it starts to rain, causing the match to be suspended indefinitely. The princes shake each other's hands, promising a proper duel in the future. Knowing that a famine will hit the kingdom hard, Mia decides to call upon Chloe's father, a merchant by trade, and asks him to import wheat from other countries in order to avoid inflation during the time of famine. The plan works out in her favor as Ludwig helps Mia set a price that will help Chloe's father make a splendid profit. Next, Mia returns to the Moon District, where she encounters the boy who she saved in her previous visit. The boy, happy to see her, gives Mia a hairpin and runs off. A priest who had been witnessing from afar tells Mia that the hairpin belonged to the kid's mother, who was from the tribe located in the Forest of Stillness, known as the Lulus. Knowing that the Lulus are a tribe that would later have a conflict with the Empire, Mia begins to visibly sweat. Meanwhile, Viscount Berman resolves to expand his territory. By developing the forest inhabited by the Lulus in their determination to protect their land, the Lulus resist the development plan, prompting Berman to bribe military authorities who dispatch a century of soldiers. To Berman's disappointment, the commander-in-chief maintains a neutral stance and decides against violence towards the Lulus. Enraged by this, Berman visits Mia in hopes of convincing her to remove the Lulus from their territory, but Mia excitedly cuts him off and decides to visit the forest herself. During the carriage ride, Ludwig details Berman's sinister plans and Mia finds herself in the mess she so desperately wanted to avoid. In order to build friendly relations with the Lulus, Mia agrees to meet the commander, but upon seeing Commander Dion, she ends up collapsing. As it turns out, in her past life, it was Dion who had chopped off her head, bitterly expressing how his men died because of her orders. Upon regaining her consciousness, Ludwig arranges a party for Mia to see the forest. Accompanied by Dion, Mia learns that his troops are placed in the forest upon orders, and even though he wishes to withdraw, he can't do so without any reasons. During their conversation, Dion warns Mia not to harm the trees as the Lulus can react violently, but upon tripping over a branch, Mia lashes out on a tree, causing the Lulus to act with violence. As Dion picks up Mia and rushes to safety, Mia tells him to use his entire army to send her back to town. Dion, realizing this is Mia's way to help him withdraw his soldiers, agrees to her wishes. Upon returning, Mia realizes that she dropped her hairpin in the Lulu's territory. After summoning Dion, Mia makes her way to the forest. Dion, thinking that Mia has some master plan cooking in her 12-year-old brain, asks if she's here to negotiate with the tribe leaders. Ahem. Just like how I'd like to negotiate with you all to like this video and subscribe to my channel, especially if you like recaps like this. That way I can keep making more. Thanks. Caught off guard, Mia finds herself in a tight position once the tribe leader confronts her with his soldiers. He shows her the hairpin and tells Mia that he gave this to his daughter as a parting gift for her marriage. Mia then reveals her entire tale of how she received the hairpin from his grandson. Leora, who happened to be part of the tribe, vouches for Mia's credibility. As Mia concludes her story, she tells the chief to treat his grandson kindly. Her advice touches the chief, who extends his gratitude to the princess. Upon her return, Mia is summoned by her father, the king, who tells Mia that he wishes to burn the forest since she was threatened by the Lulus. But Mia tells her father that she has taken quite a liking to the forest and wishes to include it in her property. Ludwig, who had been present on site, wonders if he overestimated Mia, as taking the forest will only incur Berman's wrath. The king, learning this, tells Berman that he wants him to build a princess town on his lands, which pleases the noble greatly. Realizing that nobles value honor more than anything, Ludwig curses himself for doubting Mia, the wisdom of the empire. Mia receives a letter from Tiona, urging her to speak with Rafina about her brother's tuition fee. Concerned about losing the child prodigy, who could potentially help people in times of famine, Mia visits the Rodolphin's property. She shares her plan to build a school like the Royal Academy and offers Tiona's brother Cyril the first spot. Count Rodolphin, grateful, agrees, and Mia further suggests selling wheat under her name. The Count comes to the conclusion that Mia wants to protect him from the nobles who take their wheat for free, bursts into tears of appreciation. As Mia returns home, she finds her diary vanished. Thinking she had finally changed her fate from the guillotine, she begins to celebrate and wishes to share her happiness with Abel. Meanwhile, a group of hooded individuals discusses their struggles in dividing the empire due to Mia's interference. Frustrated, they decided to shift their focus and choose a different target. The next day, Mia returns to the Royal Academy, pleased that she can meet her crush, Abel. She is then greeted by Chloe. As the girls chatter away, Rafina approaches them and invites them for tea. While having a conversation with Rafina and Chloe, Mia is greeted by a frantic Anne, who informs her about a revolution brewing in the Remno Empire. Just then, Shion, Keithwood, and Tiona enter the room to discuss urgent matters at hand. She learns that the cause of the revolution is the Remno Empire's strict tax policy, which has incurred the wrath of civilians. As Mia thinks to herself about how hard she worked to escape her wretched fate, her heart sinks further for Abel. And in that moment, Mia pleads with her friends to help her save Prince Abel. Chloe tells Mia that since her father is sending a cargo to the Remno Empire, they can use it as a guise to infiltrate the kingdom. Pleased by the turnout, Mia, Keithwood, Shion, and Tiona set out to rescue Abel, but during their journey, their carriage is attacked by masked individuals. As the fight rages on, Mia ends up toppling out of the carriage with Shion, rushing to save her. After regaining her consciousness, Mia and Shion encounter a hunter named Mujik, who gives them a shelter in his hut. The next day, Mia and Shion set out for the capital with one of Mujik's friends. In the meantime, a man by the name of Graham analyzes the letters between Mia and Abel. He tries to decipher if the two were plotting something before the revolution, but fails to understand anything. As it turns out, Graham is a member of Sunklin's intelligence agency who's been plotting the fall of the Tearmoon Empire, but seeing how Mia thwarted his plans, he turned his focus on the Remno Empire. Graham tells his ally Monica that he has worked to incite the rebel army by falsely spreading rumors about Count Donovan's captivity, a person that is well loved by the people in the Remno Empire. As Mia and Shion arrive at the capital, Mia suddenly gets kidnapped. When she wakes up, she finds herself surrounded by a bunch of kids demanding money from her. All of a sudden, a woman by the name of Linsha arrives and frees Mia of her captivity. She informs Mia that her brother is the ringleader of the revolutionary army, but she wants her help in stopping her brother from having to fight. As Shion finds his way back to Mia, Linsha informs the two that a man named Jem told her brother how Shion and Mia can actually stop the revolution. Hence, she decided to kidnap them before Jem could get to them himself. Once the revolution commences, Linsha takes the kids to her brother and asks him to listen to them. As the two parties discuss the matter, Linsha's brother Lambert asks Shion to lend him help in fighting against the Empire's wretched ways. Known for his strong sense of justice, Shion decides to have a conversation with Abel to know his stance on the Civil War. After meeting Abel, Shion challenges him to a duel. As Mia watches her beloved princess fight, she begins to cry. Then, all of a sudden, Dion enters the scene and neutralizes the fight. Anne and Ludwig also appear by Mia's side. With the fight over, the group turns to Mia for her wisdom. Reflecting back, Mia realizes how during the revolution in her own empire, two things were similar. One, a noble that was well versed with the public was taken hostage, and secondly, it was always the Sunklin that came to the rescue. Using that knowledge, Mia tries to tell the group that there's another party at play that's trying to divide the empire. Abel's guard tells Mia that even if that's true, they must march against the rebel army as the taxes can't be lowered. As Mia reveals that the rebel army is furious about Count Donovan's capture, Abel reveals that the king has given no such orders to imprison Donovan. All of a sudden, Keithwood and Tiona arrive bearing news. And as Keithwood handles his report with Prince Shion, Mia goes to greet her beloved Prince Abel. She was so worried that Abel and Shion were going to kill each other earlier, and Abel was worried that Mia and Shion were getting too close. She sensed this and told him nothing like that was going on, and the two of them nervously embraced, finally relieved to see each other again. Shion apologizes. Then Keithwood explains this entire revolt in the Remno Kingdom was caused by a rogue squad within the Sunklin Kingdom's intelligence agency, the Wind Crow. Mia goes into a nervous sweat because she's realized all the events that led her to her death in the original timeline were probably the actions of this organization. Abel forgives Shion and says the two of them can resolve this together, thanks to Mia's efforts as the wisdom of the Empire. However, Mia isn't done because she wants to punish Shion a little bit. She's been practicing kicking to get revenge on Shion in her past life, but apparently it's so weak he barely feels anything. He somehow comes to the conclusion that she didn't mean to hurt him, and that this was a way to have him seen punished publicly without any serious repercussions. He then thanks Mia for being so merciful, which causes her to get nervous thinking he'll ask for more. Afterwards, the group heads to where Windcrow had been hiding within the Remno Empire. As they break in, Anne notes on how ragged Mia's hair looks, and hands Mia her favorite shampoo. That's secretly horse shampoo, but it's something that she enjoys since first receiving it as a gift from Abel. Mia dances with joy, but ends up tumbling downstairs and meets with Jem, the leader of Windcrow from the intelligence agency of Sunklin. The rest of the group rushes downstairs to Mia, and then Keithwood arrives after rescuing Donovan from his cell. And even though Jem's plans have been foiled, he has no intentions of letting Mia go for ruining them all. Seeing the slippery horse shampoo spilled on the floor, Anne tells Mia to run. Mia trips and lands a kick that knocks Jem out before he can strike her. Because of this, the event was eventually known far and wide to have been resolved by Mia and her brilliant kick. Outside, as the two princes discuss the punishment for Jem and the Windcrows, Mia asks the two boys to spare their lives. The two princes think Mia is being too merciful, but in reality, she's more concerned that if the organization was executed, some of them could come back in time just like she had, and potentially have it out for her. She'd like to avoid meeting her end by the guillotine by any means possible. So she offers Windcrow to be punished by Rafina instead, who will probably scold them every day into being better people. Back in the Tearmoon Empire, Ludwig and Tiona relay the news that the rebellion in the Remno Empire was quelled by Mia. After the entire event, Mia went back to the academy and shared a peaceful picnic with her friends. As she got food all over her face, her handsome Prince Abel wiped her mouth, and the two smiled at each other. All Mia could think of was that she was so happy to have found a peaceful life, much different than the life she first experienced. And even though the future is still unknown, she vows to never go astray, and to lead a life that brings happiness to everyone around her. Watch this next video. Hey, I'm ComfyTea, and I'll see you all in the next one.